Hello, everyone. Welcome to this YouTube live on Taiwan crisis, the history and its present context. Right. Before we start the discussion, I'll be taking a few minutes time as we have always been doing. I'll just be taking 2 minutes time. I'll give time for others also to join. Right now, while we wait for others to join, let me make an appeal to you. It's a genuine appeal. Please, if you like our initiative, if you like the way we are presenting the topics in front of you, whether on our website or through these various live programs, please think of subscribing the magazine. The link for subscription of the magazine will be given in the description section in a short file. Right. So once we end with this live streaming, look into the description and you'll get the link for subscribing the magazine. If you're really liking our initiative, please think of subscribing the magazine. What all you'll be getting from there, let me elaborate in front of you once again. Number one, the issues of contemporary relevance, obviously they'll be available to you. Simultaneously, probable questions on these issues, the probable questions which we are expecting to be raised by UPSC in the coming days, whether in mains or in prelims, primarily in mains, right? Those questions will be given so that you can try and write answers on those topics, on those questions. Simultaneously, we are expecting that even in the coming days, just like here, even in the coming days, the focus would be somewhat on environment, special supplement on environment, and one special supplement on art and culture, right? Those special supplements will be available for you for 1 year's time. Uh, so that's the whole package that's there for those who are subscribing to the magazine, right? If you're subscribing for 1 full year, you're going for annual subscription. The special supplements for the whole year will be available to you, right? So if you like our initiative, think of subscribing, guys, please. Anyway, the topic that we have been talking about, the topic that is the issue for the day, that is Taiwan crisis, the history and present context as we understand. Okay, now see, the area we know as Taiwan, with its capital Taipei, it became a part of China in 1662. Before 1662, this was primarily a colonial territory owned by the Dutch, the Portuguese also for the Spanish, the Spaniards for a brief period. They also held this territory, right? China, along with India, we both these countries they have a colonial past, and in China, this colonialism it started long time back. Just imagine, from 1624 to 1662, for such a long period of time, these islands of Taiwan, Pegu, these islands they were part of the Dutch territory, the Dutch colony, right? Subsequently, in 1662, this area would become a part of the Chinese territory. However, in 1895, again, the Japanese they would snatch this territory away from the Chinese. The Qing dynasty, which was in power, Qing, Qing dynasty, which was in power in China, they proved to be incapable to hold their territory together, and this area was snatched away by the Japanese. And for 50 years, this territory would remain under Japanese occupation. From 1895 to 1945, for these 50 years, this territory would remain to be under Japanese occupation. However, see, as I was saying, that the Qing dynasty, the spelling is again I'm repeating Qing, King. This Qing dynasty, well, they were hardly able to uphold the self-respect and the sovereignty of China, right? It was in this backdrop uh, why they were hardly able. Why I'm saying this, because number of colonial powers, they were biting off certain parts of China as their own territory. The Chinese people, they were continuously being humiliated by these colonial powers, and the occupation of various parts of China was going on, whether that be Shanghai, that be Hong Kong, Taiwan, right? So at that point of time, the name was not Taiwan, the name was Formosa. Okay, so this way, this occupation of various parts of China was going on, and the Qing dynasty, they were proving hardly capable of upholding the self-respect and sovereignty of China. It was in this backdrop that 1911, one revolutionary by the name Sun Yat-sen, he would form a political party by the name Kuomintang Political Party for political control again. Okay, but by 1948, another revolution would start within China. This time, it would be the revolution of the Communist Party of China. And this Communist Party of China, now they would try to overthrow the former government of Kuomintang political party, and they would try to capture power in China. And by 1949, they would actually be able to do so. Even in 1949, it was Chiang Kai-shek who was in power, who was the president of China, and in the face of this aggressive uh, expansionism, or this aggressive attitude of the Chinese Communist Party (CCP), the Kuomintang political party, they would prove that they can't hold the political power in China, and this Kuomintang political party, they would shift their base from mainland China to this island called Taiwan. Right? That's how the Republic of China in 1940, as I was saying, in 1911 through the Revolution China, they named China as ROC, Republic of China. Right? But that Republic of China, that government, in the face of the aggression of the Chinese Communist Party in 1949, they would shift their base from China, from mainland China, to this island nation called Taiwan, or at that point of time, Formosa. Clear? So it is actually the ROC, Republic of China, that they would shift their base. The ROC, the Republic of China, which was being ruled by the Kuomintang political party under the presidency of Chiang Kai-shek, they would shift their base from mainland China to this island nation. That's what would happen. And what would happen in mainland China? The Chinese Communist Party, under a charismatic leader by the name Mao Zedong, they would capture power in mainland China. Right? That's what would happen. Of China was Nanking. Later on, they would shift their base from Nanking to Peking. Right? So this is how China, which was previously one single territory, would now become divided into two parts: mainland China, which is part of mainland Asia, and this small island of, along with a few more small islands like Penghu and others. Right. So this would be the territory of Taiwan. Okay. Now, naturally, Mao Zedong, who was the leader of the Chinese Communist Party, he started he had grand ambitions for China. Right. His ambition was that the grand old days, the great old history of China, of the Middle Kingdom, as they call the ancient Middle Kingdom, the kind of what to say, the kind of setup, the political party of Kuomintang, who had set up a Republic of China, even they were of dictatorial in nature, right? And subsequently, the Chinese Communist Party, they came to power. They we all know they have always been dictatorial in nature, right? So that's how the things have been in China. That's how things have been going on in China. Anyway, uh, subsequently, what we would see, uh, subsequently, what we would see that given the one China policy, the communist government in mainland China, they would try to expand and they would try to militarily capture Taiwan. In fact, in 1958, there had been artillery duel between Taiwan and mainland China, right? And the Chinese government, they from time to time they tried to flex their military muscle, and they tried to claim various stakes. They tried to go for military expansionism and capture Taiwan, but till date they have not been. Recent past, we saw an increased aggressiveness in part of the Chinese government or the Chinese Communist Party. In the recent past only, the Chinese embassy here in India, they issued one guideline for Indian media not to cover the independence movement or any news in respect to independent Taiwan. Right. It was immediately refuted by the Indian Foreign Office. Indian Foreign Office, they immediately came out with a statement saying that media in India, they're completely free and they cannot be dictated by, especially by a foreign power. Right. So that's how things have been going on. Now, why this particular attitude of the Chinese government? And let me tell you, today when we are talking, till now, there have been 20 the Chinese armed forces in this year alone, right? And I'm not talking about Taiwan, right? The Chinese government, they have not been able to properly handle the COVID situation. Issue number one. Issue number two, the economy of China has also been hit somewhat because of three factors. Factor number one, uh, Dipankar, it can be because I'm continuously seeing that uh, the viewership is also getting affected. It's fluctuating a lot. But believe me, we hardly have any option here because from my side, whatever best is possible, I'm trying to do that. Right now, I'm using a broadband connection. In spite of that, this issue is happening. Let's see how to handle this. Anyway, let's go on without stopping here. Yes, to others as well. I think that the session is getting disrupted because of the poor quality of data. Now, internet is one thing which is actually beyond our control. Although we are using quite a quite heavy speed broadband connection, but still there are occasional disruptions in the connectivity. Right. Let's see how. Let's carry on without this without bothering much about this issue here. Anyway, thank you, Dipankar, for mentioning this. Let's carry on from where I left. Now, see, three major things are happening within China. Topic number one, that they themselves, they have not been, the Chinese authority, they have not been able to handle the COVID situation properly. Right? That's one aspect. As a result, there is a disgruntled feeling within the people or among the people of China in respect to their own government. Issue issue number one. Issue number two. Uh, this issue number two itself is a collection of three separate topics. What are these three? Number one, that the Chinese government, they have not been able to handle the economic situation as well nicely. China is looking at an economic slowdown, and this economic slowdown is happening, number one, because of the China US trade war that's going on. Number two, given number of organizations, number of companies shifting their base away from China or taking their base away from China to countries like Vietnam, countries like Thailand. And as a result, there has been job loss and a tendency of recession growing in China. And number three, given the partial lockdown and these things which they implemented in China, the labor force, they migrated back from the city area to their natives, and as a result, there has been further job loss in China. Given all these three things, the Chinese economy is suffering, right? And people, pundits, are also of the opinion that it seems that Xi Jinping, the present president of China, he is also perhaps facing some leadership challenge or some leadership crisis. There may be some contenders who are not happy with the way Xi Jinping administration they have been handling the situation, and they may be challenging Xi Jinping from within. So given from the issues within, the issues that China is facing, to other things, rather using these. In fact, very recently, when the U.S. Secretary Alex Azar, he went for his visit to Taiwan. We saw that two Chinese planes, two Chinese fighter aircrafts, they crossed the maritime boundary, the median line that has been drawn between mainland China and Taiwan on the Taiwan Strait. Right, the boundary is called the median boundary. It's the median line, right? It's an artificial. It's a it's perceived. Actually exactly at the middle of the Taiwan Strait, and that particular median line is assumed to be the boundary between mainland China and Taiwan. Taiwan, the independent state of Taiwan, right? And two fighter aircrafts, they crossed the boundary and they came to the Taiwanese side. So all these developments which are happening, they are assumed to be uh, show of or military muscle flexing by China, or show of strength which are happening within the country, are happening by the Chinese authority. This is also one of such examples, right? So yes, Taiwan is in news right now, and what we discussed, that's the exact background given which all these developments they are happening, right? Although it's not actually my understanding, it is the understanding of the international pundits of international relations. Uh, their understanding that not in the recent future that we are going to see China to be aggressive and to try and capture Taiwan, right? Why? Because from finally decided to promote democracy instead of dictatorial government. And then from the year 2000, 2002, I think, a non-Kuomintang government for the first time came to power, right? So this way, Taiwan is a democracy right now, and gradually Taiwan, they are also trying to cozy up with UN. Here there is an interesting fact. Let me tell you this: the Republic of China, as I was talking about, the Kuomintang government, the government of Chiang Kai-shek, they are the founders of United Nations. In 1945, four nations together, they formed, they played the primary role in formation of United Nations. These four nations were United States of America, United Kingdom or Britain, United Soviet Socialist Republic or Soviet Union, and China. China under Chiang Kai-shek, the Republic of China. So naturally, in 1949, when the revolution took place in the permanent seat in UNSC, that was with China. Till 1971, it would be Taiwan who would be there in United Nations, and Taiwan would be holding the permanent seat in UNSC. In 1971, this permanent seat of UNSC would be taken away from Taiwan and would be given to mainland China. UN would recognize mainland China as the legitimate government, given US role play, right? And since 1971, Taiwan had no relationship with UN. Taiwan completely cut off all the relationships with the UN. But in the recent past, Taiwan again, we saw Taiwan to play some role and partially to become active on various platforms of UN. So today, even if China wants to capture Taiwan, UN might play a role there. And especially since it's a democracy which is under US protection, you can easily understand that US and its allies, they would not take it very lightly if China militarily tries to capture Taiwan, right? So military capture of Taiwan is not on hands, right? Good evening, Sanket. So that's all that I had to discuss with you. Now I'm opening the platform for you. You have time. If you want to ask any question, you can easily ask questions on this topic, right? I hope I have been able to discuss all the various aspects of this issue. So if you have you all, whether it's Dipankar, Sanket, or all the other people who are watching this video, if you have any question, just come out with those questions. democratic in nature? No, China was not democratic in nature. Before 1949, that government was dictatorial in nature. First, it was Sun Yat-sen who was the dictator in power. Although Sun Yat-sen was far more open-minded, so people didn't mind the dictatorial the dictatorship of Sun Yat-sen because it was far more pro the common people. But later on, uh, when Sun Yat-sen was replaced by Chiang Kai-shek, and Chiang Kai-shek was completely heavy-handed. I must admit that, right? So even during that time, when before 1949, from 1911 to 1949, the Kuomintang political party, which was in power, they were also dictatorial in nature. The government was also dictatorial in nature, not exactly democratic. So in that sense, the Chinese society has never ever been democratic. They don't understand the democratic values. That country has always been ruled by an authoritarian government. Previously, it was the government of the King dynasty, the monarchs. Then the monarchs were replaced by the Kuomintang political party, and there was dictatorship of that political party by the name Kuomintang. Later on, that Kuomintang political party, which was republican in nature, or as they called themselves to be, that was replaced by the Communist Party, and we saw the dictatorship of the communists, right? So in that sense, China has always been dictatorial in nature. China hardly had ever China has ever had a democratic government. No, and that's why they don't understand the what to say, the feeling of democracy, which is growing in Hong Kong. That's another aspect why they can't understand why people in Hong Kong, they are talking about democracy, right? Any other question, guys? I hope no, because till now I didn't get any question other than the question by Dipankar, right? By the way, even in the comment section, you can ask questions. I'll try to answer those questions even after the video has ended, right? Let's keep that option open for everyone. And here I'm ending the discussion as such, right? Thank you, guys. Next week again we'll be meeting either on Wednesday or on Thursday. We'll announce it accordingly. Uh, my preference is to make this discussion happen on every Wednesday, but we are not being able to manage it on Wednesdays. So for last 3 weeks, we are organizing it on every Thursday. Whatever it might be, whether on Wednesday or on Thursday, we'll announce it prior, right? And accordingly, we'll go for this session, right? But every week on YouTube, we'll be having this session. For last week, we couldn't organize the Facebook Live that we organize on every Sunday. This week, positively, will be organizing that as well. So please watch out for that as well. Right, right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Dipankar.